And the CV is a representation of you on a piece of paper to an employer, a recruiter, a headhunter, whoever it is whose hands it lands in. And the reason why it's the starting point is because, whoever is reading your CV, they haven't met you yet. So your CV shows your unique skills, personality, everything with regards to your career and the type of profession you're in. So the importance of the CV is it needs to show some of those USPs that you have. It needs to, make you attractive and make you look marketable so that you can get to the interview stage. And it's important for recruiters and employers to have a CV so that they can, filter out a person who is suitable and filter out a person who may not be suitable for that role. And so the importance is that basically it can really, really be the starting point, the first point of your job hunt. And I know that there are loads of different methods of job hunting now, offline, online, but it can usually be the first point of contact for most employers and recruiters to get in touch with you. And the other thing I want to mention here as well is not so long ago I read an article about the job application form dying out a little bit. And when I mean the job application form, I'm talking about the online job application form. And that is why a CV is more integral at the moment, because if the application form is running out, because employers and recruiters, they're busy people, they haven't got time to be looking and reading these long application forms, the CV kind of needs to be at its best even more. And that's why it's really, really important to get it right, to make it concise, to make it precise, and to essentially help you. And the other thing is as well, is that having, and finding a job, it's a job in itself, is what I always share with my clients. And so the CV can seem like hard work for some people because they're having to write about themselves on 1 to 2 pieces of, paper, and it can feel a bit daunting. But, once you get it right, it can really, really help you to the next stage. And that next stage is people calling you up for the interviews, right? That's what you want. And then obviously, after that, through the job hunting process, interviews, offers, job, that's what you want, the different stages. So the reason why it's so important is because it sets up the tempo for you starting your job hunt, and it helps recruiters, employers, headhunters, and anyone else who will be professionally helping you find a job. Okay, so that's the first thing. Oh, I can see somebody's watching. Hello, whoever you are. I can't see who you are, so please do say hello, and I'm really sorry about that. Been having a few technical issues with this training today. I thought I would just mention that. Anyway, okay, so that's just me talking about the importance of a CV. So the second part that I really want to home in on and talk about today is, what is a CV used for? And I get asked this question quite a lot. Okay, Sharma, what is the point of a CV? Do I really need a CV? I get asked that question a lot as well. And the answer to that is yes, especially if you're looking for a new job and you want to be in a new position. So what is it used for? I've kind of explained this a little bit already, but it's used for employers and recruiters. And it's used for them because they need to see what you have to offer. They need to see what you've got. And if you've got the appropriate skills, the appropriate qualifications, the appropriate experience, because this is where sort of kind of the selection process begins in the job hunt. And this is where a lot of the time I hear, but I don't have enough experience in that, Sharma, or how am I meant to articulate, that to an employer or a recruiter on 2 pieces of paper? It can be quite intimidating. One thing I want to share is recently I have been looking for an admin assistant. I haven't recruited somebody yet, but I saw a lot of CVs. I saw a lot of great CVs, a lot of okay CVs, and a few not so great, I'm going to be honest. And an employer and recruiter, unfortunately, there will be a certain amount of judgment there when they're looking at your CV. There will be a certain amount of, okay, is this person going to be the best person for the role? And unfortunately, I always say this to my clients and the people that I talk to. There is a yes pile and there is a no pile. So those two pieces of paper, or that one piece of paper, needs to represent you in the best possible way and make you shine. And what I was saying about making it concise and making it tidy, it's very, very important. The other thing that's really, really important, and one of the other things it's kind of used for, is that if you're in a job where your personality is an essential part, suppose you work, or you work in customer service or sales, writing something on your CV that shows your personality, like maybe you've done mountain climbing, or you've done something a little bit extroverted in your achievement section of your CV, will make you look more sort of make you seem as though maybe you might be more beneficial to join their team. So show a little bit of your personality in your CV. That's important. Again, within a concise way, but it's important to make sure that the CV that you have, and the reason why it's being used, remember, is to help essentially recruit you. That's what it's being used for. And, it's to help you be in a position to get a potential job interview. You need to think about, okay, once I know that this CV is being used for me to essentially get a job, I need to then visualise myself being called for an interview. And that's why it's used, and that's why it's needed. And the other reason it's used as well, and I'll talk a little bit more about this throughout the training today, is so that you're not job hunting blindly. And what I mean by this, and this is something that happens with some of the women I talk to, they come to me and they say, Shoma, I'm looking for a job. I go, oh, great, that's really, really great. What type of job? Any job. See, the problem with that is that if an employer in your personal statement doesn't see that you are being serious about your job hunt, or that you are not targeting your job hunt in a certain area in a certain way, that will ring alarm bells to them, and that will make them think, is this person really committed to the type of area that they specialise in? So it helps you to not job hunt blindly, and it helps you to be selected more efficiently and more quickly, and that's why a CV is used. So the next bit that I want to talk about, and I have got some notes here, it's just so that I don't forget anything in this training, because it is a half an hour to 40-minute training. And as I said, I can see who's watching. Well, I can see someone's watching, but I can't see who you are, so sorry. But please do comment, and hopefully I will catch the comments on the replay, and I can reply back to any comments you have or any questions you have. So the next section of this training is why is it needed? Why is a CV needed? I've kind of covered this a little bit already, but I'm being very meticulous with the training today, so that's why this section is really important. Basically, it's again, it goes back to that selection process element I was talking about. Nowadays, people, you might hear the expression, oh, it's harder to find a job, or it's not as easy as it was to find a job, and there may be a certain element of truth to that, maybe, but if your CV is done to a certain standard, and it is, all the things that I've been talking about already, it will help a recruiter, will help an employer decide whether or not you are suitable for a job, firstly, so that's why it's needed. The other thing is that, yes, there is going to be a bit of competition. You can't avoid competition. So what you need to do, what I was talking about with your personality, you need to make sure that their CV is showing personal elements of you. Like I was talking about the runs and mountain climbing and everything, and that's great. But remember why else it's needed. It's needed to help you start the first stage of your job hunting process, to be noticed by employers, to be noticed by recruiters, to set off the fact that you are going through a stage-by-stage process. And I'm going to repeat that process again because I mentioned it at the beginning of the video. You're sending your CVs off to recruiters and employers. They're looking at them. They're saying yes or no to your CV. You're getting called for interviews. You're being maybe selected or not selected for a job or an assessment process. You're being offered a job and you say yes or no. So that, you've got the different stages, the process of job hunting that is needed. And in between that as well, if you want to sign up with recruiters and stuff, you've got that too. So it's needed because, basically you need to make sure that it's pushing the right buttons and people are gonna want to talk to you. That's why it's needed, and that's why it's important that it is written well, because it's representing you and it's representing what unique skills and experience you have to offer, because only you can offer what you have. Nobody else can. There might be people who have a similar background to you in terms of education, in terms of skills, but only you can do the job in a certain way, and that's what you need to articulate on the 1 to 2 sheets of paper. So it's very important and it's needed, because without it you can't start your job hunt. I'm just going to have a swig of water quickly, and then I'm going to talk about the next section of this training today, and that's the different types. But if anyone has any questions, please do ask. And I am sorry I can't see any of the comments or who's watching, but whoever is watching, please say hello. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about different types of CV. So I would say sometimes with this one a bit of controversy comes up, because every careers advisor, coach, CV writer will tell you different things about this one. But standardly, there are mainly 3 or 4 types which are pretty much standard types of CV. And the standard types of CV that I generally work with, the 2 that I generally help my clients with through CV coaching and CV checks, is the performance-based CV and the functional CV. I'm going to just mention all of them and then go through, what makes the different. But those are the 2 that I am mainly concentrating on. So you've got performance, you've got functional, you've got targeted, you've got student or graduate, you've got infographic, and you've got specialised. So some people would say there are more, but I don't want to overwhelm you in this training, and I just want to cover the basics with you, because that's what this training is about today. So with a performance CV, what is a performance-based CV? So a performance-based CV is ideal for anybody who wants to articulate how well they have performed in their previous job roles. Again, if you've worked in sales or customer service or targets, and having particular targets and measures in your job was an important part of your job, a performance-based CV is great. So it's great for maybe anybody who works in education, sales, and people who maybe are working in customer service. So that's why a performance-based CV would be really, really great for them. And the way that it's laid out is usually what happens is you have your personal profile at the top. Oh, hello, I can see a lovely light, hi. And basically, you'll see your personal profile at the top, your achievements, and then all the different other sections of the CV. But the key emphasis here is to really, really highlight what you've achieved and your performance. So that's what a performance-based CV is. The second one, and this is the one that I also help with as well, with the coaching and with the CV check, this is called a functional CV. A functional CV is basically, it's representing the skills, qualification and experience you have in a functional way. So if somebody is an engineer and they work in IT, they work in something very skill-based where only their skills can do a particular job, a functional CV is a great place to start. And the difference between that CV and the other type of CV is that key skills are a key feature of this CV. So it's mainly sort of emphasising more on what special key skills you have. So again, if somebody maybe worked in project management or they come from a very science and technical background, this CV would be a great CV for them, because that's what the employer or recruiter is looking for. They're looking for those skills to home in on. Then you have something called a targeted CV. And the reason why I don't really help with this CV, I don't get many clients who come to me who need help with this area of CV, and that's why. A targeted CV is basically a CV that is designed for somebody who works in a trade or an industry that is, let's say, like hairdressing, plumbing. Maybe you could even, if you want to be very creative here, if you're a dentist or you're somebody who does something very targeted and niche, a targeted CV can be the best type of CV to have. because it has a special target, a special aim in terms of industry-based type position or job. And mainly it's more about sort of showing your skills, but also showing your achievements in their CV. So that's number 3. The 4th type of CV, so again, I used to help students and graduates with CVs, but if any students or graduates do come to me and they need help, of course I will still help them. But as many of you now know, I do mainly work with women who are unhappy at work and women who are looking to find work. But the student graduate CV basically focuses more on your qualifications and helps prepare you for the world of work. And what makes it different, I guess, is that because you may not have as much experience, you're having to emphasise more on the skills and qualifications you have. So that's number 4. And number 5 and number 6, the reason I know about these types of CVs is I wrote an article not so long ago about CVs for a European magazine, and I looked into this a little bit more, and basically these ones are the infographic and specialised CV. So an infographic CV kind of says, you know, what it says on the tin basically. Infographic means it's like a diagram, so it could be a diagram that's a triangle, a circle, a rectangle, and what happens is chronologically the CV would kind of like be representing different elements of you. And this type of CV is a really great CV for anybody who is a designer, or maybe you're an artist, or you do something very, very visual and you want to show your personality on a piece of paper, or on a website. A lot of these infographic based CVs are online as well now, and people have their own websites. This is a new thing that a lot of people are doing because, you know, we're in a digital age, and digitally, if you're going for a digital job or a technology based job, an infographic CV could be amazing. Again, the reason I don't specialise in this type of CV is because, you know, you need to have a bit more training with this one, but I just wanted to share this information with you because it's something new and something happening that a lot of people don't know about. So it's something worth investigating if you work in art and design, or if you have a job which is very, very design focused. And the last CV is a specialised CV. So a specialised CV is a CV which basically is specialised. So if you were an actor, or if you were a musician, with these type of CVs, what makes them different is, and this is a very European thing, in Europe a lot of people have photos of themselves on their CV, and then they have the rest of their CV. A specialised CV, again, it has your photo, you might have a portfolio with that CV. It's a very, very specialised type of CV, and again, I don't help with that because there are special CV writers and creators who help with that, but I thought I would just mention it as part of this training because, you know, I want to make sure that as part of this training you understand that there are lots of different ways that you can have a CV, but it's about which way you think is best suited to you and your personality, and me sharing the knowledge and reading that I've done about CVs because I'm very passionate about sharing all this stuff with you in terms of job hunting.